This is the Social Roundtable. We're going to be going through just a couple of questions, and we're going to start off with these questions. I'm going to lead them right to you, Daniela, our guest. So you get the first answer in regards to this question. What lessons can creators from this TikTok situation, whether the ban is upheld or not, learn?
To not put all the eggs in one basket. Definitely make sure that you utilize all the platforms relevant to you, your business, your brand, your target audience, whatever it may be. Another good idea is, I think, to always focus on making the main platform that you're on, make sure that it is owned by your own country. That is a big one. So yeah, luckily for me, it's been Instagram, Meta, but as you said, very active on TikTok, and it will definitely leave a big gap if it goes.
That's an interesting one. I've never heard that one. Make sure the platform is from your own country in a way. I've never heard that one before. Now that might be a little bit hard despite with others that are usually outside the US because let's be honest, the US likes to play favorites and the majority of the product that we create, whether social media technology or not, it usually does kind of encompass the entire world. So it might be a little bit difficult for those outside. But I think what you are sharing in regards to where specifically where that platform or product is created from, we should be paying a little bit more attention to that because we don't know how those laws might be affecting that platform or service in another country as well. Has been banned before, and it has been banned in India in 2020. That was one of the first and probably the biggest country to ever ban a social media platform, and has never returned ever since. So the US is kind of following suit right now in regards to this. But maybe we should have possibly looked at what happened to India and actually learned a couple lessons and put that into practice, perhaps. Now, I'm going to share the same question to you, Meagen. What can creators learn from this situation involving TikTok and a potential ban?
There's so many lessons. One that I think is maybe not obvious, but like definitely everyone should go and do if you have content on TikTok is to, wherever you're posting content, to make sure that you have hard copies of that somewhere else, like you have the original somewhere, which maybe that means you have to, upgrade your storage of iCloud or Google Drive or Dropbox, whatever it might be. But it's definitely a worthy investment so you don't lose all that hard work, right? It takes so much time and effort to create content over a long period of time. So definitely having all of that backed up.
First of all, I 100% agree with that because I think that's making a big mistake if you focus on just one specific platform. You never know what could occur. And even if you are able to build out a strong following, whether it's, 10,000, 100,000, or even greater, you do not own that following. The platform does. So that's something that we have to always remember and keep in mind. Now, with that being said, there is one type of collection of users that you can build that you actually do own. And that's why I want to emphasize an idea of building a mailing list. I think whether you're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, no matter what platform that you are on, I think if you actually put a little bit more focus and attention in regards to building out a mailing list as well as the respective followers and subscribers of that platform, it will put you in a better position. You're not going to get 100% of your followers or subscribers on one platform to also be 100% of the subscribers on your mailing list. But if you're still able to get some form of percentage, whether it's 5, 10%, 25, even 50% of your followers and subscribers on one platform to join your mailing list, that puts you in a much better position to do a lot more in regards to the future. And I want to share a quote here that I found. The quote, never forget social media is for reach, but email is for revenue. And I think a lot of people don't really realize that because when we think about social media, we think about how many followers we can build, how many subscribers we can collect. And it seems sexy when you get that high number of followers, and especially when we start to compare to others. In a way, it's easy to do. We don't see how many people are joining your mailing list unless you specifically go out there and tell people. But when it comes to the followers, we see that when you visit the person's profile, we see how many subscribers somebody collects. But that doesn't necessarily translate to money. But when you're talking about a mailing list, you're now able to reach into somebody's inbox and sell them something over a long stretch of time. That's a long relationship that does not depend on an algorithm. And I think that's really key. Emails don't depend on algorithms. Whereas with social media, if you post today, right now on Instagram, there's no guarantee that that post will be seen by 100% of your audience. But if you sent out an email, there are certain conditions where they might not see it at that right point in time, or maybe you might be in a spam folder, but it does reach out to them with a much higher likelihood that they will be able to actually see that content. So I think that is really important for us to kind of focus on the idea of putting email as a priority in regards to just building an audience, a community by any means necessary. I'm going to go back
Yeah.
to you, Meagen, and see if that idea had actually came back to you in regards to this question.
It did, it did. It was actually the not so obvious one is to treat your followers like humans. And remember that you're not necessarily building a following, you're building a community. So when you get new followers and you have people engaging, to take time to actually appreciate them, connect with them, because the stronger your connection is, then if this does happen to you and whatever platform it is that you're on, you're going to be able to get them to go over to another one much easier because they care to continue to follow you.
That's a good point because you built that relationship in a way, right? That they care to follow you on different platforms, which is not easy to do. Let's be very serious. That is not easy to do. Even, I've had my struggle trying to do that from Instagram to YouTube. It's much harder than it looks, but it's not impossible. I always say you got to kind of step out of the creative box to figure out ways to connect with your audience in various ways. It's not just a one answer solves it all type of solution. Thank you both for the answer to that question, because I think a lot of people don't realize that, despite the fact that this is now happening in the US, it has occurred before, just in different countries. And maybe we slept on the idea of actually protecting ourselves from if this situation was to occur. And now it's happening. And I think maybe it's because it's in the US, it's even more hard hitting the fact that 170 million users on TikTok could wind up you could almost say unemployed if the majority of them are creators. When the time comes and they don't have access to TikTok to some certain degree, you could say that they are now unemployed creators. But maybe this was avoidable. Maybe there were other alternatives and options that they could have probably taken to help put them in a better position. Hopefully what we shared today might actually help you moving forward now that you are on other platforms. Whether TikTok stays or goes, it hasn't been decided just yet as of the time of this recording, but you never know what might happen.
I mean, there are so many lessons learned, honestly. There's so much to talk about. I feel like that could be its own episode.
Yeah,
Possibly.
it definitely could.
I could definitely see that. We might have to have a part two.